All right, guys, we're gonna get the official tour today. We got the mayor, Ralph.
How you doing today?
And we got Donnie, 52-year veteran of the plant.
Good morning.
They're gonna take us around and show us what they used to do here. All right, guys, so here's the plan this morning. We're gonna start off in the very beginning of the process, what you call the clay shed.
Yeah, we're going by the ring furnaces right now.
So then we're gonna start off in the clay shed. We're gonna walk all the way through the process till we end up with finished pipe. The can clay, you said, was started in the early 1800s?
Yeah.
And it operated up until June of 2019?
Yeah.
And back in the heyday, you guys were shipping over 100 truckloads of pipe a day?
Yes.
And that would have been in the
a week.
A week?
Yeah.
And that would have been in the 80s going into the 90s, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, off to the clay shed we go.
What is it? It's,
All right, guys, so this building here is what they call the clay shed. This is where they mix the raw materials. And then we'll go here later. This is where all the extruders are at for the pipe. So we're gonna start in this shed, follow the clay on across. Donnie found the right key, we're going in. Oh, wow. Just climb over the pile?
yeah, you want to step.
So Donnie, you were explaining to me one of the reasons why this plant was located here was because the availability of clay and other stuff.
There's some of it over there.
That's the clay right there. And this come across the river from Chapman's, which is about, what, 10 miles the way the crow flies?
Lewisport area.
Lewisport. So what would have been the process here then, Donnie?
They would grind this in a hopper over here,
Okay.
and it would go, they'd put it in that hopper, and it'd go into a big wheel here, and we'll show it to you here in a minute, and it would crush it and run it through screens.
Okay, so it'd make it almost like a powder.
Yeah. And then you would mix it, use that, and you'd use so much of this grog that we called it. It's chips ground up.
So this would be like pipe that got busted or didn't pass inspection or something?
Yeah. Yeah. And they would grind it up.
Okay.
And then you got to put so much of that in with the clay to get it to stick together.
Gotcha.
And this is the old Stevenson, they called it.
That is an old piece of equipment.
That wheel run around in there and smashed everything through the screens.
Oh, I see the screens down below there.
Yeah. And then everything fell through there, the clay, and then it,
So that wheel, it's just spinning like this, and they're rolling on top of those screens, and it's
Yeah.
punching it down through there. Okay.
yeah,
Then you got rakers there around the side.
yeah,
So it's just basically pulverizing it, and that screen's controlling the size going out.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll bet you I took more than a 3-horse Briggs & Stratton to run.
That was a big actually, there's the belt and the pulleys up there.
I'm gonna fall through a hole in the floor here in a minute. Look at that. How old would you say that thing is, Donnie? Is that from the early 1900s?
That is old. That was here when I got here in 1967. It's been here a long time. It's been tore down and fixed over the years, but man, that thing was something. And that's the one we just used when we had to, it was just a spare.
Okay.
This was the main one right here.
Oh, gotcha. This is a little newer setup. Man,
Yeah.
it's still.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, that.
So it comes down and funnels the back side of it.
Yeah, it runs down through, and it's got a conveyor that takes it back up, and then it would go into belts and go across the street to the extruder.
Extruders. So, well, I guess you would have.
That bottom part spins also, doesn't it, Donnie? The bottom of the floor or that?
No, the wheels, them are just
Okay.
screens and.
Okay, so I see you got different hoppers up here. Would that be to feed different
Yeah.
different ingredients in, I guess?
Yeah, you could put different stuff in it, but those was for clay and stuff.
Okay.
And then, like I said, you could run it across the street into different units over there. But you see those conveyor belts,
Yep.
you can add different stuff to them.
Now, did Ken Clay have like some secret recipe for their pipe?
No, it was just, you had to put so much grog in it, ground up clay and chips to get it to stick together.
Just stick together?
Yeah, it's just a certain percentage. It's according on how big your pipe was.
Okay, so the size of the pipe would determine the recipe a little bit.
Yeah, it determined what the mixture was. The
I'm
mixture was.
guessing this was kind of a dusty operation in here?
Yeah, this is pretty bad. But they bring clay in from Chapman. and
Here's
they
some of the
dump-
product.
They would dump it in this big grinder over here, and it would get it in small pieces like you see around here.
Oh, okay. I see it comes in here,
Yeah.
goes through the grinder over there,
Yeah.
up the conveyor, then the conveyor would dump it out over there.
And you had different chutes that you could
Yep.
open and dump it in different parts. At last, they had the shell and the top, and they would make different mixtures to get the clay.
So, Donnie, like in the heyday back in the 80s, like how many ton of clay would you go through a day?
Oh, it was a lot.
A lot?
They would haul trucks all day back in the 80s.
So it'd just be nonstop truck
It'd
after
be
truck?
nonstop because they was running. And they'd dump it in, back up this ramp and dump it into the.
Okay, so there's a ramp right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So the truck would back up that ramp,
Dump it
dump in
in.
that hopper right there. It'd come immediately into this grinder,
Grinder, and it,
then it'd process out.
yeah.
Awesome. All right, so we got our clay mix, so I guess we need to head across the street to the see where it goes.
This is what you wanted right here.
Okay, so real quickly, we missed this. This is where, so any broken pipe or anything that didn't meet spec would come in here, get crushed into that, and then that would make that grog, which is what you call that right there, which is just
Yeah, it's just.
ground up pipe, and then that's what would go in with your clay mixture to hold it all together.
Yes.
So whenever you see a busted clay pipe and you see that what looks like rock in it, it's actually that.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So what they do is they brought it up this ramp with a loader and dumped it in over in that hopper over there.
And then it had a little conveyor in it. Gotcha.
They dropped it in that hopper up there and it would start grinding it up.
Okay. So you guys were able to recycle all your mistakes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you had to, and here, we didn't have so much busted up pipe. We got down to where that pile out there used to be
Yeah.
big.
Big. I do remember that.
And we got to running so many big pipe that it was going down, and we was worried it was going to run out. But
Gotcha.
See it over here?
Oh yeah, I think that thing means business. I guess it just beat that to
Pulverized.
pulp, yeah.
Yeah, pulp.
Obviously there's a cover or something's missing here somebody took off. But interesting. All right, so whatever we mixed up inside this building would exit on that conveyor, and I guess the next stop's third floor brick building.
Third floor brick building.
Okay, so that conveyor right there coming through the wall is the one that come out of the building we just left. We're coming up here and we're dumping on this belt here now.
yeah,
Okay.
and you could put it down into here. There's big containers that hold it,
Okay.
and they go to different units.
Whenever you say different units, that'd be different extruders, which we'll get to here in a minute.
Yes.
So this is basically the material here that would be going in an extruder, which
Yes.
is, man, it's just really, it's like a powder.
It's like bug dust. Yeah.
And you can just fill out a little bit of ground up clay in it.
Now this here is another one. This went all the way over to another extruder over there,
Okay.
and it was really a fur across the building.
So you'd have different extruders for different size pipe?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you'd have them set up, so you didn't, I guess you could retool them, but you just kept, you had enough extruders, you had them set up for different size pipe.
Yeah. Yeah, we had one that extruded flue liners, and
Okay.
we had one extruded pipe, and the big pipe was on this one out here.
I bet this was a dusty mess up here.
Yeah.
So would you have a guy up here that was basically directing traffic on which way it would go?
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have a mix. There's a chute, that door,
Uh-huh.
you walk across that street.
Ah,
under
gotcha.
there, and go up to where the grinding is. They've got screens up there on top.
So he can control both sides of the street. One guy can control both
Yeah,
sides
he
of the
can
street.
walk across the street on that catwalk.
Okay. So once we dump it in up here and it leaves these belts, it's pretty much gravity down to the extruders, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll follow it on down. I'm glad I didn't have the job of shoveling this floor off.
But these are the bins.
So
call
we're
them.
down one floor from where we were at before. So these are like the holding bins for the extruders below, correctly?
Yeah. Each one of them could go to a different extruder, and they had a valve down there that they could put them in different directions.
So what was the rest of this floor used for? I see a lot of space over here.
It was used for dryers, drying fittings. You had to have, back in the day when you really had a lot of fittings, you had to dry fittings. So you'd run them, extrude them, then you'd bring them up an elevator, which was there.
And you just let, this is where they would, now whenever you say dry, is that what you would do before you kilned them?
If you
Yeah,
see
you-
the cracks in the floor, it allowed heat to come up through from below.
Oh, so that was by design,
yes.
so the heat could come up through the floor
Yeah, it was.
to dry.
like it is down where we was at with the grading.
Okay.
But this here, you had to leave them set, and you didn't put actually any heat on them up here. You just let them set for 2 or 3 days or 4 or 5. Because if you put them directly into the dryer, it would crack them.
Gotcha. So
And
you,
they
so you
wouldn't-
just kind of let them set and
Yeah.
let some of the moisture wick out, and then
Yeah.
you would.
Yeah, and then like Ralph said, the
Curing process.
heat came up from the floor.
Gotcha. All right, so I guess we go down another floor to
The whole
the.
end of this building is like that with the flooring like the way it is.
So this whole area just would have been stacked full of pipe. Oh, you can really see the floor over here.
Yeah, stack full.
Just where the fork trucks would run, where they didn't have.
Oh, so they got the steel down where the fork trucks would run.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the later years, they put this down, but before you had them on little carts. We haven't got any of the carts left. They were full of by hand.
Gotcha. So this was all drying area.
No, now this was some drying area, but it's branching too. They would branch your Y's and T's.
Okay, so this is where they would like put fittings together back in the day.
Put them together, and it really
Look
had
at
some
that.
craftsmen back in
Hey,
the
look
day.
at the flooring.
Yeah, I was gonna say, look at that floor is impressive. That's impressive.
But you'd have different of these. You could take them off. Like this is for a 6-inch or an 8-inch, and you
Okay.
put them on here, and you had different sizes for different.
Oh, so that's
fittings.
basically what hold them where they can sit there and work on them.
Yeah, you could put a on here, and you had a hole here, and you could.
That's a lost art, isn't it?
Put a piece to make a
back in the
fork.
day, they really had some people that really could do some good work. Later years, we didn't have the people that was capable of doing it. They just couldn't learn it.
This is
So
called
we
the
did it.
joining room, right?
No, it's the branching room for
Branching.
green wire, but we had to do it over in joining. in later years we would proxy them on.
Yeah, okay. I think I've seen some of those laying down there. We'll see
Yeah.
that later. So,
Yeah. But yeah, this is all storage area. At one time, you'd see nothing but fittings and stuff down through here.
now this is right above the dryer down below,
Yeah.
right? So this is in the summertime. This had to be just roasting in here.
It was hot. It was really hot.
But I guess you had enough airflow that it kind of.
Yeah, it'd go up through the floors, and there's a big, in later years, we didn't use it, but this big
See how the beams.
opens up.
Yeah, I mean
Floor
they.
beams attached to the steel beams.
Yeah, I mean they built this thing. They weren't.
Ain't that built right, ain't it?
Yeah, they weren't joking around when they built it. That's for sure. Now are these flues coming up off the dryer down below?
Yeah. Yes, there was vents that vented out the top.
And is this all tooling off the extruders, or what's this?
These are dies. This goes on into your extruder, the dies.
Okay.
Bale. That's a bale there.
So I'd make a bell end on a pipe?
Yeah. Where it extruded out, and this was a.
This would be
die.
this would be a flue liner, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a bale
Yeah.
for, looks like an 8.5 by 8.5 maybe.
You know there's somebody out there looking for one of these.
Well, see, the reason these are still here, we couldn't get them off the floor.
Oh, really?
Park truck. And the elevators got shut down.
Didn't have no elevator, you couldn't get them off there. That's the reason they're not in the scrap pile.
So if somebody wants them, they're really going to have to work for them. So what was, is this a part of the extruder too, I guess?
Yeah, that bolt
Yes,
to the
yes.
extruder, that's the lugs on the bottom there.
Okay, where it locks in right
Yeah,
there?
locked in, and then you'd have a bale to fit that, and you'd extrude the pipe through it.
Let's go check out these extruders. So we finally found one of the wagons he was talking about. Basically, this is what they'd use to move fittings around up here on the floor. I guess somebody tried to take it home with them and was unsuccessful. So now it's wedged in the stairway. We're gonna go up the steps here. He says he thinks he can show us how the old roof used to open up, where they used to be able to draft to get the air to flow up through the building. So this whole building was basically built to dry clay with all these slots in the floor. And if we get down lower later, we'll show how they used to blow heat in underneath. Basically, they blew heat in the basement and come all the way up through the building. This is all original. I don't think there's been a floorboard one replaced in this.
Yeah, and you
See
know,
the knots?
No, that is,
the roof is still in pretty good shape. But this is another elevator.
so you basically bring it up and just
Yeah.
roll it off.
Yeah, you could bring it up here, and there's a unit down there.
Man, that'd be cool in a house or something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Sad it's probably gonna end up in the scrap pile.
That gate, there's another gate down there. We walked right through that doorway. It's like that. So
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah,
I was
that's,
trying to take that out.
So what was the purpose of the steel bolted to the bottom of the post here? Was that just to keep stuff from hitting it?
yeah, because a lot of people, you know, hit them with wagons and stuff.
Not just protected that post, huh?
Protected post.
Posts, and that's what it was set.
Looks like it did a good job. They're
See,
still there.
Steel post below this floor, but now this floor's got a wood.
Wood post. So is this where the roof would open up right here?
No,
Yeah, there's one here. No,
no, it's just a exhaust there.
Okay.
it's on the other end up there.
Yeah, chains
They
on
create a
these,
draw.
and pulley system, and you could open those windows up.
So basically all those windows would flop out. This is the
Yeah.
very top of the building, and then it would draw, it would allow that draft, that
Yeah.
hot air to come through.
Yeah, these chains would open those windows back there.
At the draw you wanted, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what was this thing here? Was it just a control fan?
That was a exhaust fan.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see. So you were probably sucking dust or
Yeah.
drawing air from somewhere.
Yeah.
Man, that sawdust. We'll explain the sawdust later, but it just ate everything up. So Donnie, what are these up here? These different,
Yeah, those are different. Yeah, they went down in when you cut something off, so make sure they was
Square.
square, you'd have them on a big weight and a pulley, and you'd pull them down into the
Pipe.
and then you had a cutter and you'd go around them.
Okay.
Again, these,
Oh, so these here still have the chains hanging on them.
yeah,
They go up there to a pulley, then there's a big rod up there, and it rotates and it'd kick all those windows out.
and this thing here, when it was started, man, you could move some air.
I
up the
bet.
fan.
I'd give that one the Benford 5000 number. It could use a new belt though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, Donnie, make sure I'm following this right. So this big thing right here is the bottom side of that wooden box we seen up above.
Yeah.
So our mixture's coming down, and we're gonna dump it into the extruder right there.
Yes.
Now this is where we add water, correct?
Yes.
And I guess that was, did a guy up here just have enough experience? He knew what it was supposed to look like?
Well, a lot of them was had valves that you could turn to see what you wanted, but then a lot of them was automatic water. But then every once in a while you had a hose like this here.
So if you needed to add just a little bit.
You just.
So they just shut this thing down. They never even cleaned it out.
No.
Now would that still start up and run?
Yeah, you'd have to most probably tear the augers and stuff out of them, but yeah.
You could get her working
Yeah,
again?
you could get it working again.
So this thing here, so this basically would work it, and then it would compress it and drive it down into the head down here, which is the head, right?
Yeah.
All right, and then once we get to the head, that's where the actual extruding would happen?
Yeah, you'd put different.
So is there
dies
like
on
a pressure you'd look for, or what?
It's like an auger type
Yeah.
thing in there, ain't it?
Yeah, they'd have to have it under so much pressure. That's the reason you'd have to have your clay just right. If you didn't, you would lock it.
You'd lock it up?
You'd lock it up. If you got it too soft, it wouldn't push, and if you got it too hard, you'd lock it up.
So there's a lot of experience that need to be had right there to get it to
yeah. Here's some of
the controls.
Yeah. I mean,
It's kind of like a meat grinder, because here's where it come out, and
Yeah.
it would come out and around. And
this
fall.
here you could run them in manual mode by flicking it up, or you could run it automatic, and it would
Do everything on its own.
Yeah, on its
So
own.
after we get that all, so the augers up top were basically mixing it, and then this big auger here was your actual extruding auger,
Yeah,
right?
you'd have
It would,
different.
it would send it out this way and bring it and make a
Yeah,
pipe.
those bells and stuff we saw up there.
top, yeah.
They would.
So they would lock on
dies.
right here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you'd have the head tip in there. The tip's not in there either, but it had a tip in there, but they would.
It was a cone shape and made everything come out all
Gotcha.
the way around.
Yeah, just according on what size you had.
So so yeah, that big cone we seen up there, it'd be right here, and it'd be diverting the clay out
Yeah.
evenly all the way around. And then I guess once it come out of the extruder, it would land on a cart.
Well, you'd have here. They had a head that came in and popped in,
Okay.
and that would make the bell. You'd have
Gotcha.
to have so much to make the bell, and it's not here no more. It's gone. It was sold, but it would run in to the die, and then your clay would come out and form your.
So you'd make the bell. You would extrude a little bit of pipe, make the bell, then you'd keep on extruding
Yeah,
pipe.
you would push that in, and it would lock up, and then it would push, and then make the bell, and then this would come out, and it would extrude on out to whatever length you wanted. This in here was basically fittings,
Gotcha.
and they was 2 foot.
Now, so back in the heyday, you had 4 extruders.
There was a flue liner. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was 5 extruders.
And they would all run 24/7.
Well, no, they were a lot of times 7. Back, I can't remember ever running at night shift on the extruding.
Okay.
They might
So the
have.
extruders could keep up with the demand pretty easy. It was the drying that took so
Yeah.
much time.
The drying and the
Here's
kill.
some of the still there from what come out of it.
And then this one here made flue liners, you said?
This is a ring machine.
Okay.
You know, you had to set your pipe on rings, soft rings, you know, when you set them down
Gotcha.
to make it so it wouldn't crack. And your rings would basically all crack, but then you didn't go up into the pipe.
Gotcha.
And this again is the same thing as basically over there, only we just made rings on this one.
Okay. So what what do you think these machines are from the 40s?
Oh, they're late. I mean, they're
Gatesville, North Carolina.
Gatesville, North Carolina. There's number 40. They
Yeah,
must have
the
built
steel.
39 before this one.
yeah, they call them steel 40s.
So would you guys, I mean, how'd you get parts for them? Or did you just have a machine shop and you made whatever you needed?
JC Steel.
JC Steel.
Got a lot of them, and then there's other parts. That's one of those motors there for.
Yeah. This is what it took to drive it. We tried to find a tag on this the other day and we couldn't find horsepower rating on it, but it's more than 4 horsepower, I can promise you that.
Yeah, it's
I'm guessing that thing probably wasn't cheap to run either.
no, you really used a lot of electricity.
All right, so now we got
Look, even with this, it's got a lower
pit underneath
elements,
it.
pits underneath there to help clean up.
I
Right, Donnie?
don't think the cleanup guy was doing his job.
Do what?
To help clean up for
Yeah,
anything.
there was belts that you'd throw your trash in, your green trash.
They take it out here.
Well, it'd take it, used to, it didn't, it'd take it back up and put it back in your tub.
Okay, so we got some pipe extruded. Now we need to, I know I've seen some around here somewhere, but there's some pipe that's extruded but not dried.
These right here are fittings. These are 8-inch fittings.
Now have these have been kilned though, haven't they?
No.
So these are,
Big cured.
these are to be cured. So these are fresh out of the extruder.
Yeah, these came out of that machine that we had looked at right there.
That one right there.
Yeah. And
So
these-
that's just some of the last,
and there's different degrees.
okay. So this is some of the last fittings ever extruded here.
Yeah. Yeah, those are 45 degree.
Can clay, 45 degree, 8-inch. So I'm assuming you would set an extruder up and you just run.
You would run, if you say, that's around 250 of them.
Okay.
And you put them in, you'd have to set them here till they got green like this, and then you'd put them in the dryer and dry them.
Gotcha.
And then you'd put them in the kiln.
So you're constantly moving these things around.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you just put them where you could. These are 6-inch 45s. For
6-inch
those was 8s, these are 6s.
And you stamped them on there, can clay, 45 degrees. I mean,
Yeah.
that's top-notch stuff right there. And them fittings, it's almost sad. It's like those fittings are the end of an era.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, them.
It's hard telling how many millions and millions and millions of miles of pipe come out of this place, and that's the end.
Yep, back there, there's the end right there. For this plant.
And it's not here now because it's all gone, but it extrude out onto a conveyor and just a continuous string of clay. And then it
Really?
had a knife that would cut them.
So this extruder here is still pretty much put together. You said this one just did,
Here's where it comes
yeah,
out.
just did flue liners, and that's,
And this one in between, this chain went in between your flues to keep their shape when it came out.
okay.
This would be on the inside.
So I'm gonna try to show that, but this, I can't hold the light up there, but this has got the head on it, and that right there is the clay
That's the clay.
that would come out, and that would just keep oozing out past it. And you said there was a conveyor here,
Yeah.
and this thing would pretty much produce flue liners continuously.
Yeah, you had a pallet machine here that would put on a pallet, then you had a thing that automatically stacked. 2 guys used this. The operator operated everything from right here,
Okay,
and the hospital driver would take they had a conveyor here, of rollers, and it automatically roll it out and stop it at the end.
now this factory's only been shut down less than a year, and I guess this stuff all got sold?
Yes, yeah, it was sold.
This
before I
particular
left.
one maybe hadn't been used for a while, right?
No, that
Was
thing
it?
was used more than any.
Was it?
probably
So
any
flue
machine.
liners was one of your most popular
Yeah.
products at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Interesting. And this, it looks like all these extruders are pretty much the same.
Yeah, and your tub, like we seen over there on the other one, with those knives and stuff in it, is up here on this one.
Okay, so it's up above. The
Yeah.
tub's up above.
Yeah,
Oh, I see it. It's right there.
yeah,
And then it drops down into here
yeah,
and extrudes out.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But at last, they automated everything, and one guy could
Do it
work
all.
everything from down here. He could get the water he wanted, and you can see where they got the mark of what they did.
Right. Yep. Interesting. All right, Donnie, we got some flue liners and some fittings extruded. Oh my goodness.
Last time we was in
That wasn't yours, was it?
Isn't that? Nobody has any
That's the
reason.
same ones that Austin and Dakota's who was down there rode on the football, I believe.
Why would you want to put your name up there?
I don't know. There's one there, too.
Austin and Dakota, we're coming for you, boys. Shouldn't be doing that stuff.
Yeah. Spigot.
Okay.
So so you were talking about that one extruder just made rings, and
Yes.
these are the rings.
These are the rings.
So basically, these were just so you could set the pipe. It basically protected the pipe. It was like a pillow or a cushion to put the pipe on, so it didn't crack
Yes.
the end.
Yeah.
And you were explaining this room had water in here, so
Yeah.
you would constantly be misting water on these to keep them soft.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't want to put too much, or if you did, we'd call you'd melt them.
Gotcha.
But you want to just keep them moist.
And then I guess once you got done using these, you'd put them back across the street, grind them up, and reuse them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these here are different size rings.
Yeah, that's
here.
8-inch ring there,
4-inch.
and that's a 6-inch back there.
Okay.
And these are coping rings here.
So these are pretty important and something nobody ever even think about when it comes to making
Yeah,
clay
you
pipe.
gotta have that. You gotta have rings. You can't set them on the floor in a keel without a ring under them. You can, but 9 times out of 10 you
It'll
don't.
crack the
What
end.
happens to the ring whenever that's cured? Does the ring cure at the same time?
Yeah, yeah.
And
You
then
just
it's
threw, yeah.
throw it away.
So it's
throw
it's
it
one
back.
time use thing, and it
Yeah.
gets ground up across the street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes back to reuse.
Yeah.
So this is the more modern extruders they were using. What did you say, 6, 8s, and 10s in here?
No, 8s, 10s, and 12s.
8, 10s, and 12s. And these all got sold to, what did you say, Logan Clay bought them?
They bought I think Mission Clay
Mission Clay.
bought the extruders.
Okay. So you had one extruder here?
Yes.
Okay. And then there was another, the large extruder that did the larger pipe is missing, but we'll show you the infrastructure that was left
Yeah.
of it.
15s on up to,
So that other belt that continued out of that third floor, Donnie, is this where it came to?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
and the tub is up there, just like we've seen on the ring machine.
Yep, I see it up there, right up there. Gotcha. Interesting. Well, I'm glad to see some of this stuff get sold and reused. And I guess we need to explain to some people is there is still a demand for clay pipe.
Yeah,
It's not what it used to be, but there is still a demand
yeah,
for it.
Yeah, it's just more difficult to put in than a piece of plastic.
But it also lost. You said there was pipe that you guys made 100 years ago. People are digging
Yeah,
up, or just
yeah,
like the day you made it.
Yeah. Yeah, the old glaze pipe. Back then you glazed to keep the moisture from going into
Into
the
it.
pipe. They glazed it, then the EPA, you couldn't do it anymore after. They glazed 1 keel when I started here.
Really?
Yeah.
And then they got away from that.
Yeah, couldn't do it anymore.
This is all missing now. You can see just a part of it up there where it was unbolted. I know it's hard to see, it's dark in here, guys, but you call this a vertical extruder?
Yeah,
And this
About the floor.
made from 15-inch up.
yeah, 15-inch up. And it had what they call an octopus in here that would grab those pipes. See, they came out bales standing up, and then it would flip them.
Okay. Now, whenever you get into that size pipe, is there any procedures to keep it from, how do you keep it round?
Well,
Keep it vertical?
Well, yeah, they used to make them 2 foot, 3 foot, 6 foot, and last was making them 10 foot, and on
It'd been as big as round as that barrel over there.
Yeah.
Bigger.
I know I hauled some out of here.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? That's where they was
They're
made.
not
then.
light.
It's probably right there where they was made.
They're not light either.
but they would come out standing up, and then you'd have to flip them and put them on a ring.
And keeping them round wasn't a problem.
No, but the guy here's where you operated. He had dial up there.
Yeah, right there.
You had to keep the clay, like I was telling you a while ago. You
Keep
couldn't
that
get too
consistency
soft.
just right.
Yeah, if you didn't, you would lock it up.
Okay.
And then you had to take everything down to bale and extrude the clay out.
Okay.
How fast would that come through?
They would come through, there was 2 stations up here where the guys trimmed them at.
No, I mean, how fast would it extrude?
it would extrude faster than you could keep up with.
Really?
Back
You
in
just
the day.
spit it out if you wanted it to, huh?
Yeah, they had an octopus here. This is where you put the pallets in, and here's some of the pallets, and they would feed out, and then it would turn it up, and the octopus was here. It's gone too, and then they would put it on a pallet, it would stick it down, and the bell up, and right here was. There's one gone on this side, but they had two guys here. They'd finished the sockets on top.
Okay.
But it, just as soon as you got one done, you had another waiting.
How long would it take to do a pipe right here? 20 minutes, hour, half hour?
Oh, no.
10
You got
minutes?
one every 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh, really?
Now, Donnie, you were telling me 24-inch pipe was $300 a foot?
That's the extruding, the Novell pipe.
Okay.
I mean the jacking pipe.
The jacking pipe.
Yeah, with the stainless steel.
Stainless steel
column.
bands, which we'll see that here in a little bit, but it's about $300 a foot.
Yep, that's what they.
But it lasts a lifetime.
Yeah, it'll last a long time. That's what they call jacking pipe. Man, that's nice. That thing's still up there.
Yeah, the old overhead crane's still up there. So what they use this for is just to move
Stuff. Yeah.
It was more to work on the extruder.
Yeah, work on stuff because you had everything was automated. See them switches
get it
there?
down in, get it down in here this way.
Yeah, and you had little bicycle, believe it or not, reflectors. You
Okay,
seen
and it would-
those, and that would hit it.
And it would
stop
it.
Yeah, then the pipe would go and it would.
Now this extruder got sold to Logan Clay or Mission Clay,
Mission Clay.
and it's most likely still in production today.
Yeah, I think it is.
So these right here are the last pieces of pipe right out of that extruder. That's clay, unkilned. It's very brittle. Last few pieces of pipe come out of it right there. I'd say it was a probably 15-inch pipe. Those are some of the end trims off of it. End of an air right there. End of an air. All right, it's kind of hard to see, but we're walking on grading, and this is one of the dryers. So this is where, after everything was extruded, this is where. Now, what's the difference between a dryer and a kiln, Donnie?
This dryer don't get as hot. Those kilns get up to 1920 degrees.
So do you dry it, then kiln it?
Yeah, you dry them here and then you put them out into the
Okay.
kiln.
So these are flue liners, and these are the rings you were talking about it's setting on, which keeps it from
Yeah.
cracking, right?
Yes.
And these are uncured,
Yeah, 13 by 18.
13 by 18 flue liner. Stamped can clay, 13 by 18. So they would come in, how long would they sit in here, Donnie?
Different pipe, different
Different
size,
lengths?
Anywhere from a week on some of them because you just couldn't light them right up.
Right.
You had to wait till they started scumming just a little bit.
So you would
Turn
bring,
gray.
so you'd bring them out of the extruder, bring them in here. How hot would this dryer get?
It'd get up, I don't know exactly. It'd get pretty hot. It'd get up 4 or 5.
600 degrees.
It'd get up pretty hot.
And then they would
You
sit
had,
in.
you had to go real slow. You couldn't come
could-
up fast with, or you'd crack them.
So then they would sit in here for how long?
Most probably some of them a week
And then from here they would go to the kiln.
kill, and then they would fire the kills, and then you'd have to come up
Slow.
with them.
That's to be the final.
Yeah.
So you guys heated this with sawdust, right?
Well, no, when it was put in here, it was gas. But when gas got so expensive, we went to sawdust. But here they use just pressed wood outside.
Bruce owns the sawmill,
Right.
so he converted it to.
Yeah, the same guy that owned this actually owns the sawmill, and I'm very familiar with that sawmill because I've done a bunch of work out there. That's where S&S
Joe's
yeah,
area.
S&S is at now. But it's hard to see in here, but the acid in that sawmill played absolute havoc on all the steel in this building to the point of where one collapsed.
Yeah, the acid just ate everything up.
All right, and then how many of these dry rooms did you have?
There was, this is the big dryer, and the one we was in over there
Yeah.
is another one just the same size.
And then on the outside towards First Street, there was just small dryers. Right?
Yeah, 7 and 8 was the small dryers.
Yeah. Some more back.
Oh, watch where you're walking. All right, guys, so this building back here behind us is where we were just at. Those big fans right there is what blew the heat in underneath the building. That's what they call the dryer. So now we're out here. I apologize for the rain, but these are all the kilns. I'll ask Donnie how many they had at one time, but I think they had close to 20. So once it come out of the dryer, it would come in here into the kilns, and this was ready to get its final cure. Wow, check that out. There's a lot of craftsmanship went into just building one of these, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Donnie, we brought our pipe out of the dryer, we set it in here, and then we slowly bring it up to 1900 degrees.
Well, according on what kind of pipe was in here, different size pipe, you had them longer and you got them hotter if they was larger pipe. This kiln here, most probably, it took a week to fart. You had to bring it up slow, bring it down slow. If you didn't, you'd crack them.
So the total process, the total time it'd be in here would be about a week, depending on the pipe.
Yeah, depending on the pipe, it would take a week to burn it, 6-7 days, and then it'd take 6-7 days to cool it.
Okay, so it may have this kiln tied up for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was in the last.
So that's why there was so many kilns.
Yeah, yeah.
So how many kilns were here operating at one time?
When I came here in 1967, there was 22 kilns.
22 kilns.
Yeah, and they went from sizes of 36 inch, 28 inch, 24 feet
In diameter?
in diameter.
The heat would come up through the floor again, right?
Yeah, the heat would come up through the floor.
Yeah, they've got a thing that we call a wagon wheel down here to distribute the heat. It was really amazing to see one in there. Morris Stove, he was really good at fixing these kilns and stuff.
And then these were also fired with sawdust? Gas originally and then sawdust later?
Gas original, then at last we went back to gas because it was down where you
Cheaper enough.
Cheaper, and you can see the clay is more. It was wrinkled when you had fart with sawdust. And these here are more smooth gas fart.
Now, Donnie, one thing I noticed is nothing's on a pallet in here because the pallet would disintegrate.
Yeah.
So did somebody hand unload every one of these?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Every one of these was set by hand.
So this was a real labor-intensive job to load.
Yeah, it was hard work. I mean.
Now, is this all the higher they got stacked?
These, yes, yeah. That's the high as it got, and of course your 13 by 18.
Right. So why was the kiln so tall? I guess it was for the bigger pipe?
Yeah, yeah. We would put 10-foot lengths of 21s. From 21s on up, they was 10 foot, and that's when you needed the.
Now, would this be one of the newer kilns?
Yeah, this was the first one built, and
70s.
Yeah, I can't remember the date, but two brothers, older gentlemen from Georgia, came up and
Built
these kilns.
Well, check out, one thing I want to point out is check out this door. This door actually has fire brick on the back of it.
Yeah, got that big door there that rolls shut, and then you put some kill oil around it, and it would
Seal it up.
seal it up.
Interesting.
I can drop like that there on these sticks.
So Donnie, from here, I guess the pipe you said's got a couple different options. This would just be considered a plain pipe, and they could be sold that way.
Yeah.
And they'd just basically be mortared together to joints.
Yes.
In the field.
Yeah.
But the other option was you have what they call a joining room.
Yeah, joining and
You put different.
polyester.
Okay.
Rubber
Is
seals.
any of the equipment still in there?
No,
It's all gone.
all gone.
A lot of that was handwork, wasn't it?
Well, we'd hang them on a line, and you'd have 90-some hangers on that line, and you'd have different stations. You would put them on the line, and then put molds in them. They'd pour them. They'd come back around and
Okay.
take them off.
Well, let's at least go check out where you did it
Yeah,
at.
yeah, we'll do that.
There's
So this is a perfect example of a pipe that wasn't kilned, and that's that draw got ground up stuff in there, and that clay. That's cool.
That's trying to go back to the earth.
Yeah. I'll try to get you guys some pictures of what the pipe looked like, but basically he would say they would bring that pipe in here out of the kiln. He said there was basically big lathes and big grinders set up, and they would cut a groove on the end of the pipe and put a stainless steel band on it. You call it a jacking pipe, and it was the new way of sealing everything up. And I guess all this equipment's already got sold and removed. Still an overhead crane up there.
But they'd push them underground. That's what they'd push them under golf courses and stuff where you couldn't dig a trench.
Okay.
They'd dig a hole out in the woods, maybe 20 by 20 hole, and they'd put a big ram in there, and
they would shove that pipe in, and that pipe would take all that pressure?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Really?
Tons and tons.
Yeah,
So that's why they called it a jacking pipe, because they were jacking it through the ground.
Yeah.
The city of Atlanta is all the way through that. Like that.
That's what the city of Atlanta used, huh? You said one of your biggest customers was Chicago. A lot of pipe went to Chicago.
A lot of, Sir Builders, Fred Green, a lot of it went up there.
Now this building back here is what you called was the old tunnel kiln.
That's the old
And it
tunnel
basically
kiln.
continuously flowed through.
Yeah.
And this is what we were talking about with the acid and the sawdust. It just ate the building alive. There's just absolutely nothing left of it. I'm sure you guys seen that in the flyover. It's in bad shape. It's a video of this real quick. This is that groove I was talking about. They would cut in there. There's a rubber seal that would go on that, and this is that stainless steel band that would go on the other end. And they would press those together and just shove them through the ground. Interesting. So Donnie, this would be more of the joining room. Is that what you call it?
Yes.
So basically you said there's silica sand in here. You would mix that up with some resin.
500 pound of resin.
500 pound of resin, and then basically it makes this polyester sleeve on there. That's not a real good example of it, but now would an O-ring go in there?
Yes.
So an O-ring will go in there,
Yeah.
and then you slide the pipe together.
Yeah, and you can make them airtight.
Now what's this joint here?
Okay, that's the epoxy that we used to use over in the branching room.
And this is the later years of branching. In the beginning it was done in the upstairs where we were out earlier.
Yeah.
Then the later years it was done down here.
It was done here with epoxy because just couldn't nobody do it over there.
Gotcha. So basically you would hang these from these pipes and they'd go around and do their thing?
Yeah, there'd be hangers on there. Like I said, there's none of them here. There'd be hangers, and they'd run around, and what they would do,
Look at here, get in this. Raise you up to that level.
Oh, I got you. That's just no fork truck mast right there.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
we made that level. They'd hang them on here. They would run around. A guy would put a head mold in here.
Okay.
The socket mold, and then this pit was about 5 foot deep, and there'd be a guy down there putting spigot molds on. Then right there was a guy that poured them,
Okay.
and then they'd come off here, and a guy would take them off onto this elevator, and then the forklift driver would take them out of it.
Gotcha. So you'd basically put a mold on the top, mold on the bottom. That guy would pour them, take them off, and out the door they went.
Yeah.
And here's a better example of what they were. So this is what he's talking about pouring. They would pour this on one side, this on the other side. They'd slide an O-ring in that groove, and then they'd shove those pipes together. It's basically, instead of basically making it airtight, or you'd even pressurize them.
Yeah, you can pressurize them.
Put a rubber ring on that
You
too.
go
Yeah.
by ASTM.
Yeah.
This black rubber ring down there on that that's holding the strap.
Yep. So these, that's the O-ring right there that they would use.
Here's some of the spurs that they used to put on in the shop.
So this is what you call the,
Yeah, a
the
6-inch Y spur.
so basically you cut a hole in a 6-inch pipe, and you would epoxy that on there.
Yeah. Right. This right here. This is a T, but it's basically the same thing. Only, this is a Y and that's a T.
Interesting. And I guess at one time you had a machine that cut all those?
Yeah, over in the shop they would make the pieces and we would put them together over here.
Okay.
Well, they used to do it all over there.
Yeah, so this is probably a better example of the joining because the pit's still open. So you had a guy over, I guess he would have been over there putting the mold on the top.
Yeah, they'd hang it on here, they'd go around, the guy would put a mold in there.
Okay.
And stick it down here.
Stick it down here.
He would pour it.
He would pour it.
Come back around here. This guy would take them off here.
This is where you take them off and then it'd be done. The fork truck would take them
You'd
out.
strap them up and the forklift driver would take them out.
Gotcha. So this is basically the mixing station here. So basically it'd be a two-part A and B, and then they'd mix silica sand in with it.
Yeah.
I got the big mixtures up there on top.
And you put your peroxide in on this side, 36 ounces. And then you'd have it come out into a pumper here, and the pumper's gone. And then it'd come out here, and it had a mixing head. Then the guy would stand here. And
So you're mixing right there and pouring right there. It's all right here close.
Yeah. And it was set up.
And that was kind of the, when did this method come into play? The 80s?
No, it came in most probably in the early 60s.
Early 60s, okay.
Yeah.
Because before that, they were just mortaring everything together, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, they called Jiffy Joint.
Okay.
That's something years ago, it was blackjack. It was a tar.
Oh, yes, I remember seeing some of that old stuff.
Yeah, and that was years ago, and they quit that back in, it was probably 68.
And then they went to this method.
Then they went to this method, and it was lasted a long time.
So Donnie, I guess once the pipes left that room in there, they headed out to the yard to be inventoried or sold, correct?
Yep.
And you said this entire property was 33 acres.
32.
32 acres, and in the heyday, you said close to 170 people worked here.
Yep.
And you were trying to explain to me, you said you about 100 semi-loads a week?
Yeah.
And then you were still loading barges?
They would load barges, and you'd get 52 truckloads in a barge to go to Tampa or New Orleans.
And then from there, would it go overseas?
Yeah.
Or,
well, yeah, they would get it across the Gulf, and they had to have ocean-going barges to get it across the
really?
Yeah, they would put them down here at Merle's, we would load them, and they would take them down to Tampa and New Orleans.
This is one of those situations I'd love to have a time machine to come back and just see what everything's going on. But Mayor, you said all the pipe here is for sale, right?
Every bit of it.
And what's the prices? If it's 24 and larger, it's $50?
Yeah, 24 and up is 50, and then it graduates down to 25, 21 and 21s and up. 21s and up is 50.
21 up and 50. 21 and down is 25.
25.
And that's for a stick of pipe.
Small ones are like 20 or 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put your information at the end of this video, so if anybody's interested in anything. You're not shy on pipe right now. You have a lot of it here yet, so. Huge thanks to these guys for letting us walk around Donnie, man. I truly enjoyed it. This was cool. Alright guys, quick flight down Main Street here in Cannelton, Indiana. I've done several videos in this town since I've had my YouTube channel. A lot of history in this town. Go back and check those out. I think you'll really enjoy them. This building we're getting ready to fly around here is the old cotton mill here in Cannelton, Indiana. Really, really cool old facility. But huge thanks to Ralph and Don for allowing us to take a tour of this plant. I do not want to post Ralph's phone number publicly, but if you guys are interested in this, just Google the town of Cannelton, Indiana, call the mayor's office, and they will get you hooked up from anything. But there's the old tunnel kiln. You can see that sawdust just ate that thing alive. But one thing I want to hit on real quick is the pipe is red here. That has to do with the type of clay we have in our area. Different tile plants in different parts of the country will have different color tile just because, or different color pipe just because of the type of clay they were able to use. But check this out, pretty cool shot here. I was able to sneak up on a buzzard here and scare him off the top of this perch there. Sorry about that. DJI Mavic Air coming through there, buddy. Fly away. But guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoy videos like this on the channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, guys. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one. it.